Here's the top 10 best bank fishing tips, tricks, and secrets to catch trophy fish everywhere you fish. Let's start right now. Tip number 1 to bank fishing success is to do a little bit of research before you head out. Make sure you're looking at whatever body of water you're going to be fishing in to understand what fish species are in there, what type of forage is in that lake, the weather conditions for the day, any seasonal changes, barometric pressure, water clarity, and the water levels. All this information is going to help you plan your fishing strategy for the day and thus increase your chances of catching success. For example, if you're fishing in a lake that's known for bass, you definitely want to know what their feeding habits are and the preferred hiding spots in that lake. So you check local fishing reports, talk to other anglers at the bait shop, and use plenty of online resources to gather as much information as you can, namely getting structure and depth maps. So those are really the keys to success. And there's a really great app we use called FishBrain where you can get real-time data, maps, and all the live catches in that body of water. Tip number 2 is to cast from a distance. One common mistake that a lot of fishermen make is getting too close to the water without making a few casts first. What this is going to do is scare off the fish that are holding tight to the shoreline. So just make a few casts from a distance and then slowly work your way back closer. And this way, this approach is going to allow you to cover more water and thus increase your chances of catching more fish. Also, casting from a distance is going to help you avoid spooking fish in clear or shallow water. And the real trick is to just use a longer rod, 7 to 8 feet in length, which is going to allow you to cast out farther, cover more area, and absorb the fight of a really big fish like you're seeing. Tip number 3 is to use natural baits, live bait, if it's legal to use where you live, like worms, minnows, crawfish, and insects are simply irresistible to most every fish that swims. That's because they provide a natural scent, flavor, taste, wiggle, and movement that artificial lures just can't replicate. And when you're using live bait, you got to make sure you keep it fresh and lively, and you hook your bait in a way that's going to allow it to move most naturally in the water. If you're using minnows, hook them up through the lips to allow them to swim more naturally and stay alive longer. And if you're using worms, hook them through the body so that you leave the head to dangle freely. That's what drives fish crazy. Tip number 4 is to fish during low light conditions. Early morning, dusk, and late evening are prime times for bank fishing. That's because fish are more active feeding during these periods, and you'll always have a better chance of catching more of them. And during low light conditions and cloudy and overcast days, the fish are going to be more likely to move closer to the shore into the shallows to feed. So you can use topwater lures or shallow running baits and cranks to target these active fish in the shallows. So just pay attention to the changing light conditions and be able to adjust your strategy on the fly. Tip number 5 is to target structure, like points. Those are very typically productive fishing spots that hold a lot of fish year-round. So just look for the main lake points, grass lines, obviously docks and reeds, and any other type of edge vegetation that's really important to target. These type of spots are usually teeming with fish. That's because fish use structure for cover, for shade, and for ambush points. And when you're targeting points, just make sure to cast your line parallel to the structure and work your bait slowly past it. Just pay attention to changes in depth or any type of underwater features, because those are prime spots for fish to be congregating. So anytime you notice drop-offs or ledges or submerged logs and trees or overhanging trees, these are all going to be excellent places to cast into. Tip 6 is to downsize and go finesse fishing when the fish are being picky. You always want to try to use smaller lures and lighter tackle. Finesse techniques like this are usually very effective in clear water or when the fish are really pressured from the shoreline. Of course, you can use soft plastics with realistic trailers, small jigs, and a little bit lighter line to entice finicky fish. So the key to finesse fishing is to present your bait naturally and with subtle movements and pauses and a slow cadence and retrieve. And again, this is especially effective when you're fishing in heavily pressured areas from the bank when fish have seen a lot of lures. Tip number 7 is to pay close attention to the weather. That's because fish are influenced by weather patterns and pressure changes, so always keep an eye on the forecast before you head out. Overcast and cloudy days and rainy days usually lead to some pretty good fishing, and that's because fish are more likely to be active and feeding during these conditions, as we mentioned in the earlier segment. And on the other hand, bright and sunny days are going to make fish a little more cautious, less likely to bite, and they're going to be moving into deeper water to stay cooler and to find shade and cover. So again, be adaptable and be willing and able to adjust your fishing strategy based on the weather to increase your chances of more fish success. For example, when it's an overcast day, you can use a spinnerbait or a crankbait that's going to allow you to cover more water and attract fish that may be scattered at different depths that day. Tip number 8 for bank fishing success is to be stealthy in your approach. Just move quietly and avoid making any sudden movements when you're approaching shore. That's because fish can be easily spooked, especially in shallow water. So just approach your fishing spot with caution, carefully, and you can wear natural colored clothes that'll blend in with your surroundings, and that's going to avoid casting any shadows on the water. And when you're moving along the bank and the shoreline with all your gear, just take slow, deliberate steps to minimize any noise and vibration, which of course is going to get picked up by the fish through their lateral lines. Obviously, this type of stealthy approach is going to allow you to get closer to the fish without scaring them away. Tip 9 is to get a really good pair of polarized UV sunglasses. Glasses like that are going to reduce glare and help you see beneath the water's surface, which is going to allow you to be able to spot fish, structure, and underwater vegetation a lot more easily. And polarized sunglasses make a huge difference in your fishing experience because you're going to see fish you might otherwise miss. And it's going to help you identify the key fishing spots, especially when you're fishing from shore. So just invest in a really good pair, and that's going to increase your bank fishing success. You want to get a high-quality lens that obviously offers you UV protection from the sun's harmful rays, and it's going to reduce glare. And finally, we're on to tip 10. I hope that you're still with us and you've gotten some really great tips along the way. So tip 10 for bank fishing success is to be patient and persistent. Bank fishing, just like all fishing, can require a bit of patience, but don't ever give up. Try different spots and locations if you haven't gotten a bite in 30 minutes. Try different techniques and retrieves and baits and colors, sizes and shapes until you find what's going to work on that particular day in that particular lake. So if you've been fishing for a while, you know that fishing's usually about trial and error. Don't ever get discouraged if you don't catch fish right away. There could be lots of different reasons for that, based on a lot of the factors we've talked about already. Just stay positive, keep experimenting, and enjoy the process out in nature. And always remember that the more time that you spend out on the water, the better you're going to become at being able to read the conditions and understanding fish behavior. You got to be able to think like a fish to catch more fish. And a really special trick that we use is to keep a fishing journal that tracks all your successes at each body of water you fish. And that way you can learn from your experiences when you go back to the journal the next time you head out. So there you have it, folks, our top 10 best tips and tricks and techniques for bank fishing success. If you enjoyed all these tips and tricks, make sure to subscribe to our channel for daily and weekly updates on the best fishing techniques and gear reviews, and don't miss out on becoming a better angler. Hit your bell notifications too so you never miss the next video. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Please like this video, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to enable your bell notifications so you never miss another great video coming your way.